Well, hello, my lovely crafty friends, and welcome to Sip and Stick with Toni. Yay, we finally made it. Right, so today I am going to be making this lovely little card here. So I'm just a bit worried about the light on it. Make sure you can see that well enough. So this is a bit of a variation of a card I made in yellow and black, and I do think it's very lovely. I just wanted to freshen up the colours a bit. So I did this as a live demonstration on Hobby Maker a couple of weeks ago, and I did it originally in the nice amazonite and gold colour. I just wanted to freshen it up. So instead, I'm going to show you how to make the butterfly with a beautiful iridescent yellow colour glitter and then the amazonite. And then we've got some dies to stick down and some sentiments. And then we've got some nice little daisies that we're going to add some 3D glue and some flock to the centre to give it the lovely raised part there. So let's get started. So I've already gone ahead and made a nice card base. Right, I'm just going to have a little fiddle with the lights here because I'm not happy with that picture. Hang on just 1 minute. Yeah, you can see me faff in real time. There we go. Is that a bit nicer? Let's just make this a bit better. Right. So all I've done is I've just built up a base card. It's a DL card. And I've just done some matting and layering with the nice Kingfisher blue card. Nice piece of white card. And then I've just inked around in a nice yellow colour with my inking brush. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is to create the butterfly. So as you can see, sip and stick. I've got my nice cup of tea here. So I do usually like a cappuccino, but I'm not allowed to sit here drinking cappuccino all day. So I have to mix it up. So that one's a green tea. So let's get our butterfly started, hey? So the first thing we're going to do, so I've used a die for this one. We're going to cut out the base of the butterfly and then we'll cut out the stencil part. So for this, I'm going to need my sticky roll, of course. So I'll just unwind the sticky roll. So this is a brand new roll, so it's a bit curly-whirly today. So actually, just roll that back up. First thing I'm going to do is just cut out the size of card that I need. We've only got one little butterfly, so we don't want to do the whole thing. Put that over there. And then we'll unwind our roll. Pop the piece of card down onto the roll. And then using either a craft knife or scissors, just go around the shape. There we go. And then roll that back up. And then, as always, give that a good burnish. So just burnish that down. And that actually helps you lift the liner back off the card. So we're going to cut into the side covered in sticky roll today because we want to apply some nice glitter to it. Now, I'm just going to bring out the camera because we are using the big old-fashioned die cutting machine today. Woohoo! There we go. So I don't have my little die cutting machine with me. I took that one home. So we're using the big one today. This is the crossover. Right, so just going to turn that one upside down. We'll run it through. Just a little roller music going. There we are. Move that back in a moment. Then we'll come back in. And there we have the base for our butterfly. So now we've got that piece cut. So now we're going to cut the top of the butterfly out. So for that, I want to make a stencil because I want to cover this base in 2 different colours. So we can't really do that with our hands unless you are the most incredibly talented person on the planet, and I'd really actually like to do that, but I don't think I'm quite capable of that one yet. So we're going to cut a stencil out of this one, place it down onto the sticky roll, apply 1 layer of glitter, peel it away, and then apply another layer of glitter to the exposed area. So to do that, I'm going to use some release paper. So this is single-sided release paper, and release paper is basically what's attached to double-sided adhesive like sticky roll, and it's what means that you can peel off the adhesive. So we want to cut into the shiny side. So there's only one shiny side on this, unlike what covers sticky roll. So again, we're just going to cut out what we need here. There we go. And back out with our big old die cutting machine. So what I really like about this die cutting machine, it is an old one now, but you can adjust the rollers for different depths of die. So if you've got one that's got slightly lower die cutting edge, then it's brilliant because you can just adjust it and you don't have to use shims or anything. There you go. They'll have to come up with an intelligent electric die cutting machine that registers the depth of the die and adjusts the rollers accordingly. That would be amazing. Right, so there's your shiny side. So now what we're going to have to do, let's just get a bit closer again. I think that's going to be my phrase of the day. So we need to take the release paper off this butterfly. So if I just give it a little burnish in the corner, then the trick is just to nick the liner with a pin or a craft knife, and it should come up no problem. There we go. That will peel away nicely. There you go. And then we want to take the shiny side of the stencil and just pop it down on the top. Now, don't worry if you don't get it 100% perfect. It really isn't the end of the world. So just stick that down. And if you get your bone folder, just burnish that down. So if you haven't got a bone folder, just something like a pencil or a pokey tool, and just rub it over the top. You just don't want any of the glitter slipping underneath that stencil. Let's apply our first layer. So this is the iridescent yellow glitter, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm not really a yellowy person, but this is absolutely delightful. So just sprinkle that all on. Be nice and generous. Don't hold back. And then we just tap, tap, tap. And we give it a nice rub. So this is ultra fine. All the Wild Spider glitter is ultra fine, and sticky roll, it will stick any kind of glitter, chunky stuff, whatever you've got. So don't think you have to go and get a whole new load of glitter to use with it. It's just I really like ultra fine glitter, and I do think it does give the most gorgeous finish. So I give it a little squeeze and a little flick from behind. And then if you get your glitter brush, so these brushes are amazing. Don't go using your nice posh blending brushes for this. And then we just give that a really good rub there, and that gets rid of any excess. And then this can go back in the pot. It doesn't use much at all. There we go. Lid on, avoid catastrophe. And there we have step 1. So let's just get a little bit closer. I really want you to be able to see that. Oh, there you are. Really lovely. Right, so now what we need to do is just peel off that stencil. So that should come off nice and easily. Just get our tweezers there. There we go. There we have there's our first layer. So now we're going to pop on our amazonite. So again, we just sprinkle it over the top, and this is only going to stick to the exposed parts of the sticky roll. There we go. So just get a little rub again. Yeah. And you'll really be able to see it in a moment. You can see how beautiful and sparkly this glitter is. So again, give it a little pinch, pinch, pinch. A little flick from behind. And again, we just take our brush and just get rid of any excess. And then this is going to reduce any shedding. You'll barely get any now. It might be just the odd particle, but it's not like one of those papers where everything falls off. And isn't that just gorgeous? There we go. So I'm just going to pop this back in the pot. There we go. And there we have our gorgeous little butterfly. So part one is done. Yeah, and if you've got a few little stray bits of sticky roll glitter hanging around on your cutting mat, just a piece of scrap sticky roll, just rub it over the top, and it'll just pick up any stray bits that you might not want on your desk or on your cutting mat. Right, so yay, part one done. There's your little butterfly. So the next part we're going to have to do, or want to do, is we're going to want to do the nice swirly twirls there. So I'm trying to think what that's actually called. A flourish, a nice leafy flourish. So we're going to get our green card and our die. I'm just going to, again, cut out just what we need. So I have already taken the liberty of cutting one of these out already, so you don't have to watch me do it twice. And then we'll pop this down onto our sticky roll. Just pop that down on here, so you can see that the good thing about it being on a roll is that we are just using what we need rather than a whole A4 sheet that then end up all dog-eared in the back of your cupboard somewhere or in a drawer getting ruined. And this just winds straight back up to put back on your craft desk. So just get that a good finish there. Now then, normally to stick it down, I would say pop it onto the uncovered side. But as you can see, we actually want these going backwards. So I'm going to cut into, because they face the wrong way for my card. So I'm just going to cut into the sticky roll and then we'll turn it around when it's on the actual project. So again, let's get our cutting machine out. Excuse me. There we go. So I don't want all that. These are quite marked, these plates. And I don't want all these marks going on to the card. So I'm just going to pop a piece of card in with this, just so it doesn't pick them up on the die cut once it's done. There we go. Just going to run that through. Now it's quite an intricate die, this one. So I'm going to do it twice, just to make sure. See, all dies from different brands have different blade depths because they come from different factories. Oh dear, I've managed to just go over the edge with that one. It's okay. Let's see how badly I've pulled that over in a second. I'll just remove this and then we'll take it out of the die. I have a backup, don't worry. They are, it's only a tiny bit. There we go. So that's cut out quite nicely. Now what I usually do when it's a little bit misshapen like that is I just pop the plates down on it just to flatten it a little so we can use it. And I think I'm going to find my emergency one I cut out just in case. Let's have a look. How much did I cut off the end? Let's have a look. See, this is real-time crafting, this is. We all make mistakes while we're crafting. Oh, yes, we'll use the backup. Let's put my plates behind here. There we go. Right, quick sip. Oh, dear me. Oh, it's a nice cup of tea, that one. There we go. Right. So, as you can see on this, the original card, I've actually left some of the tendrils sticking up a little because I do like that little bit of dimension and movement in the card. So, how are you going to do that, you ask? Because now you've popped sticky roll on the back. So what we're actually going to do is only remove certain parts of the lining. So obviously the bits where the lining's been removed, that's going to stick down nicely. You won't have any messy splodges of glue anywhere where you place it down. And then the places where the liner remains, that's going to be what lifts up and gives it some nice dimension. Just move that light again, see if I can get that light in a bit better. I don't know if that's made it better or worse. I think I need to move it further away. Right. So I'm just going to show you how to remove the parts of the liner there. So all we need to do here is just take our craft knife and literally just cut into the liner. So there's no like magical trick to it. Just don't cut all the way through the piece of card. So we want a piece there, a piece there, a little cut there, and there. So what crafty projects have you got on the go at the moment? I've got quite a few things in the works. I've got a couple of cards that family members have asked me to make for special birthdays. And then I've got a Halloween event coming up soon for one of my crafty friends. So I need to think of a project to do for that. Right. And then my next hobby maker show to prepare for. So lots of things going on and half term next week. That will keep me busy. So when you've cut in the right places, again, you just need to give the little liner a little flick and then just peel away the parts that you want removing. So it comes away just nicely. So we want that staying on there. So I've missed a little bit there, but it's okay. Just press it back down and it's fine. So there we go. So see how easy that is, because nobody's going to see this part here. Don't mind about that bit. There you are. And it doesn't matter if you get it wrong either, because nobody's going to know. There you are. Cut a little part there. That's the good things about most mistakes on crafting, is that you can either cover them up with a butterfly or a gem, or nobody knows it was a mistake in the first place. There we go. And then just the last part here, just there. Slide that back on there. And take this away here. There we go. I've got two nice pieces that we can stick stick down a mess free now. Just move that out of the way. And back in with this one. Right, so just need to pick this piece up and then position it down here. So, there we go. That's much easier than trying to apply glue to all those tiny little bits there. Oh, I didn't take that little bit there off. There we go. Just take that off there. And no glue splodges, and yet we've still got a little bit of dimension coming in from the leaves and the tendrils. There we go. And we'll just pop this down, go in the opposite way. There we are. So no rush, just get everything in place. And then just a bit of pressure to stick it down. There we go. So normally I'd go like that and wipe over it, but because we have got some raised sections, I'm just going to press down, and then that's perfect. And that is set, no drying time for that. And then now we've got our beautiful little butterfly. So we're just going to give him a little bit of dimension. So I always like to do that. I just pop my nail there and just lift his wings, and then that gives us a nice flat piece of body just there that we can apply a little bit of glue. So I've got my silicone glue and my syringe, because it's a bit easier to do that. So a bit down the middle, and then we're just going to pop some nice big blobs on his wings so that his wings stay nice and upright on the card. There we go. So I just pop that down in the center just there. So let's just use my grid on here just to make sure I've got him nicely lined up in the middle. I do get a bit perfectionisty about how things are lined up. There we go. There we are. And there he is, drying nicely. So we'll just leave him alone for a moment. Now we're going to do the flowers. So I'll just pop him there so he can dry. To make sure we're in as close as we can be. Right, another little sip. You'll have to tell me what you like for your afternoon tipple. So I think we'll have mostly, I think we'll do these lives in the afternoon, and then possibly we'll have some lives in the evening where we can maybe invite our friends over from overseas, over in the US, and then maybe we can have a little drink with them too and a bit of craft time. So for our flowers, I'm going to make a gorgeous center for these. So it's quite hard to see on this. I'm going to adjust these cameras. So in the center, it's really nice to have a nice flocked area. So if you haven't seen flock before, it's a very, very gorgeous. It's like little tiny fibers, and they give the most gorgeous, like furry feeling, like fuzzy felts or sort of a suede feel to your craft. So it's absolutely gorgeous for your card making. It adds just a little bit of texture and a bit of difference. So normally I apply flock to my sticky roll, and it's brilliant for that because there's no drying time and it gives a really nice finish when you use it with a sieve. But the only problem is it doesn't have any dimension, and in the center of flowers it's just nice to have a bit of dimension there just to give it some more realistic look. So for that we are going to use some 3D flock. So what this is, it's a wet glue, but it's dries dimensionally. So you just have to give it a nice big blob, any size that you want. You can do teeny tiny ones or quite big fat ones. and then we cover it with flock, let it dry, and then it gives us that lovely domed effect. So I'm just going to put some blobs in the middle here. Very technical term, blobs. Right, so I'm just going to squeeze this out in the middle. There we go. So what I tend to do usually is I'll make a few of these up, because sometimes if you get a little air bubble caught in there, it can collapse the dome. So I like to make a few, and then if any that has happened to any, then it doesn't matter. You just use the pick of the bunch. There we go. On there, and then the dinky little ones. So if you don't use flock on this, it dries like shiny. They're nice little pearls. But with the flock, it really does just give it a lovely little effect. I'm just going to get a piece of paper to catch the... So let's get my tweezers and lift these up, because obviously we don't want to touch the wet glue. I'll just pop these down on here. And then we're going to get our secret weapon to use on our flock, which is a sieve. And then we take our flock and we just pour it all into there, and then just straight over the flowers. And then what I tend to do is give it a little bit of a wiggle, like so. There we go, a bit more. So the reason for the sieve is it gives you a much more even finish on the flock. Otherwise, it tends to get a little bit clumpy. So always make sure you use a sieve. There we go. So I'm just going to pop these out here. Now, obviously, these will need some drying time. So, like I said, I have made some already that are already nice and dry. And I'm just going to pop this back in the pot. And just pop that into there. And one pot lasts you absolutely ages, because you don't really use a lot of flock. But there we go. I'm just going to pop these onto here and put them over there to dry. Don't want to waste any lovely flowers we've just made, do we? There we go. And again, if you've got any sort of bits of flock or anything else sort of on your mat, just get a little bit of sticky roll, sort of a scrap bit, and then it just picks up all the bits that you don't really want. There we go, nice clean mat again. So here we come. So these are the ones that I've already made. So just bring these over. There we go. So 2 large ones, 2 dinky ones, and then the little daisies. So again, I'm just going to come in with the silicone glue. So we'll do the dinky ones first, I think. There we go. I'll pop that down there. And then, I might as well do the back of all of them while I've got it in my hand. So again, I like a bit of silicone glue because it does give you just that little bit of wiggle room when you're popping down flowers. And of course, you get to keep the dimension of the petals. So, and the dinky one went there. I like to have that little bit of symmetry too. And then we are here. And here. And then the lovely little daisies. I do like a good daisy. There we go. I'll pop that down. And there. Yay! Now, I just think we're missing a nice little sentiment. So obviously this is just a nice little card that, you know, could be for anything. Best wishes, birthday, with love. So I've opted to go with love. So now, again, we're going to use, we don't want wet glue to stick these down because again, these are very, very fine sentiments. And that would take a lot and then it's just going to splodge everywhere. Just adjust that little flower. I want it to dry nice and straight. So today, instead of using my sticky roll, I'm going to use my sentiment roll. So as you can see, it's a little bit narrower, but it is the perfect width for the majority of your smaller sentiments. So there's 50 meters on that, which is why it's so good and fat. So let's just get our piece of card out. So this is perfect for if you're on the go with your crafting, or you just want something a little bit smaller. And it's perfect just for your smaller sentiments or for your matting and layering, because as you can see, you can get right up to the edge of your card with it. So I do like to have both on my desk, both my sticky roll and my sentiment roll. And they are exactly the same thing. It's just a narrower roll. So again, just pop your burnish down your tape. And I'm just going to cut along that side, and then you know that you're going to get sticky roll on the back of your dies because it's exactly the right width. So let's put the old cutting machine back out again. Right, I'm going to move that because I don't want to squash it. Here we go. Right, my plates. So we want the sentiment roll on the back from where we're cutting. Now, the only thing I don't like about this, my cutting machine, is that I have to do it backwards, and I like to see where my dies are. So I should just use a bit of tape on them really, but just for speed's sake. There we go. I'll just come in again. And there we have. And they pop up nice and easily. So we just need to get our pokey tool to poke the sentiments out. I don't get my pokey tool stuck. There we go. And again, I've done these to match the matting and layering on the card blank. So there we go. So you just need to take the liner off. So again, take your tweezers or your craft knife or a pin and just get the liner and just take it off gently. There we go. And that's so much easier than trying to get in there with all your wet glue and stick it down that way. At least you know you're going to get good results every single time with this. So I'll just pop that down on there. Don't worry about getting your fingers on the sticky bits. So I'll just adjust that a little bit. I'm just going to pop the bit there down because it's just got a little bit misshapen. There we go. And just stick it down there like so. Press it down and it's done. Simple as. And then the same with love. And we'll just pop that down. Press it down with our finger. And hey presto. There is our gorgeous card. Now that wasn't too bad, was it? There we are. Well, thank you very much for joining me for our sip and stick. There will be another one in due course. I will let you know when it is. And thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you soon. Bye.